Hey there, Dingo Stu here. Today's video is about aligning the Detroit diesel and is proudly sponsored by MarineEngine.com. Obviously last week we didn't get very far with this between the storm and totally running out of steam and enthusiasm. I've decided the best thing to do is to make these jacking screws for the sides. So let's pick up there, we'll head home, we'll cut, drill and tap those. A few people commented in videos that the only way really to move a ton of steel smoothly and in a controlled fashion is to have a series of screws that just you wind, and as you wind they go through a fixed point, as you wind they push against the engine. Really strong force because of the mechanical advantage you get from the thread on the bolt. And you know, you can really start to position it more finely. So here I've got some bar, probably about 16mm, probably similar thickness to the shims I have. So here I've marked it up to cut 4 out, 1 for each shim, the same length as the shim. Then I'm going to drill and tap twice through each one, and they're going to be welded on this way up. The 2 studs that go through the engine mount are 5 inches apart. So that's actually the exact distance I'm going to drill. So the 2 bolts will come through and push on the engine mount very close to where the slotted sections are. I don't think it's critical. I could take them in a little bit and maybe push on the meat of it a bit more. Maybe that's a good idea too. But I definitely don't think one's going to do it because the mounts have a sort of slight curve to them. So I think I'm actually better off having 2 screws on each. I don't think it's going to hurt, a little bit more work, but I think the result's going to be better. All right, so nothing for it, nothing too interesting. Cut, cut, drill, drill, tap, tap, weld. Before we head out to the boat, I just want to look at this welder because I need to use it soon to repair the airbox for the Detroit, and it's got a few issues. Looks like the fitting on this TIG welder here has taken a bit of a knock when it came back from the workshop, and it's not actually coming forward enough. I think I'm going to have to try and get under there and lift it. It's catching. It's pushed back and then catching on that lip. Anyway, one more thing to fix. Looks like it's raised up here. Don't know what I'm going to do, to be honest with you. Alright, after wrestling with it for a while, trying to either lift it up or squeeze the high points in, lift the old point, I can't get it to pop up. I'm just going to put an angle grinder blade into this bit that's too low, which should allow it to pop out again once it's freed. That seems to have freed it up. If I put it to the bottom, you'll never know. Let's see how it goes now. Let's go. Beautiful. That'll do. The other thing I need to sort out is this is actually a new TIG torch. The other one went in a drink, unfortunately. It's a Boswell branded one, and this is a Boswell TIG welder, but it's got like a 1,000,000,000 pin plug on it, and it looks like it originally had a 4-pin plug. So, actually I can't recall, I presume it's that side. There's a switch and remote, both are 4-pin. So I think what I'm going to need to do is find the right plug, find the pin out, the colour coding. This uses, how many is it? 5. So this uses only 5 of these pins anyway. So I've just got to figure out which ones I need to connect to get this to work, and then find the right plug to order. So, bit of an annoying problem, but anyway, we'll sort it. Alright, they're all made up now. I'm just going to jump down the engine bay and give it a test fit and show you what I'm thinking with how I'm going to install them. The plan is to weld them onto the ends of these shims. I'm going to do my really coarse alignment. Then I'm going to weld the shims in, weld these on obviously. Then I'm going to back these nuts off and use these jacking screws that I'm going to buy today, but they're going to come through here, press against the foot of the actual mount, and allow me to slide that mount a very small amount, port and starboard. I've got all my angling with the screws here on the mounts themselves. I'm going to have my sideways movement from here, and then 4 1/2 really has to come from the propeller, and that's why I'm looking at doing a coarse alignment to the point where I can actually start the engine, spin the prop a little bit, get on the hard stamp, whatever we need to get that prop shaft moving in and out as it should. So let's secure it at the back, or the front, sorry, this way. Then I'm going to lift this side and I'm going to pull that big engine mount out, the oversized one first, and we'll weld it up on the bench. So options are put it up here, which is why I did the bolts quite low. This also gives us the most travel on our bolts, because the other option is like that. We'd be pushing from a bit lower. Don't get me wrong, we can always get longer bolts, but I don't know, I'm torn. Because ideally, you know, I want these bolts practically skimming the surface to push as low as possible. Maybe we should go this way. I did buy longer bolts as well. Then I think the go is to get them just touching, and then just lift it up the tiniest amount so they push as low as possible. Alright, let's clean this up with a grinder and tack it in place. Alright, a bit later in the day now. I've got the aft tube finished and installed. But before I move the little gantry crane to the forward side of the engine, I'm going to lift the back right up and see if I can get the Polyflex coupler on. I want to do this for a few reasons. The main reason is that I want to spin the prop shaft. I want to get it just bedded in a bit, get it freed up. I think I can get this aligned well enough with the Polyflex in place to at least start the engine and idle it without going anywhere, you know, just knock it in gear. Theoretically, these are coming off again very soon to do a metal on metal alignment, but let's do them up tightly anyway. I'm just trying to swing it back, but now that Polyflex coupler is actually hitting the flange on the end of the prop shaft, so maybe I can lift it up further and bring it round, I don't know. Anyway, that's what I'm wrestling with. Looks like it's going. Oh no, now it's hit the nut, which sticks out a little bit further than the flange. Far out. This thing's a battle. Seriously. I wish it only weighed 500 kilos. That'd be nice. Alright. We're down. Let's go have a little sticky beak. I haven't got the feeler gauges out yet, but I reckon that's pretty close to within 5,000th. I'm joking anyway. So, okay, now I've got to do the same with the forward mounts, but I'm going to do that in the morning. Had enough. If you're wondering what all this coolant is, it's just running out of this open pipe at the moment. Alright, it's pretty hot. I think I'm going to call it a day. It's actually supposed to be a nice day tomorrow and actually storm tonight, so it's probably a good time to start packing up anyway. Anyway, 2 down, 2 to go. Another big storm last night, but no real hassles. The power went out for a little bit during the night, but it's back on already. So let's get this engine hatch open again and get on with the forward 2 mounts.
Being made out of steel, this engine hatch is actually quite heavy, so my plan for the future is to put some hinges and some gas struts on it. It's good at the moment to be able to get it right out of the way, but once I sort of just go into basic maintenance mode, it'd be nice for it to be easier to open, that's for sure.
A little bit windy today, but that's another advantage of stick welding I didn't mention when I was doing that comparison with MIG. Welding on a rocking boat's a little bit tricky, but I think it'll hold. We'll find out soon enough. Like I say, it is good being able to pull the chain on this hoist from down in the engine bay. It saves a lot of climbing up and down like it would if it was a hydraulic crane or something with a handle up on deck. Alright, last one in. I've got to push the engine over to port while I drop it because it's way off at the moment. I want to get it reasonably close by moving these shims around before I weld the shims in, and then we start using our jacking screws and the actual slotted bases of the mounts to do the fine alignment. Before I get too worried about that positioning though, I want to get the faces of the flanges closer to parallel because that will give me a better indication of my other measurements, so you know whether I'm out port to starboard. So let's do that first a little bit. Once again, we've got our fine adjustment now. Not looking to dial this right in, just looking to get it sort of in the ballpark. I've also brought a tape measure down here. I'm going to take a few measurements. So what do we got here? 94 millimeters to that rail. I don't want to get overexcited about how low this is until we've got it across, because until you're comparing highest point to highest point, you don't really know how low you are. So let's get this across first. It's funny, it sort of looks way out from the side, but when you look from the top, it actually doesn't look that bad because this coupler is slightly larger in total diameter than the prop shaft. Now, obviously a mile out at the back, so what I'm going to do first is lower the front. Alright, has that had any effect? Not really, a little bit. Alright, I'm going to raise the front up a little bit now. Of course I've got to go around, do each side evenly. Oh yeah, still not easy. Alright, this distance here is 10 mil longer on the port side than the starboard side. So I'm going to push the engine at the front to the port, try and square it up, try and get this distance equal. Lots and lots of climbing up and down this engine bay. This is actually where most of your energy goes. I found a good leverage point down there between my mount and a rib where I can bring that forward a bit relatively easily. What I will do, jump back down with a pen and I'm going to mark it at 90 so I know how far I have to come. Alright, so there you can see a little mark on the rail, hopefully. That's how far we've got to come. Having said that, who knows how square these rails are. You know, you can't take everything that is as gospel. So I'm going to move it a bit. If it comes easily, great. If it looks like it's kind of fighting me and a gap's opening up, I think we'll focus more on the flanges being parallel than you know, the measurement from the end of the rail being different. There's no point getting the dial gauge and feeler gauges out until it's even vaguely in the ballpark, as you probably know. So, you know, we can see plain as day which way it needs to go at the moment. I'll show you. So you can see the bottom's open quite significantly. So I'm going to lower the front of the engine and then raise the back until we get that sorted out. The source of truth for all these adjustments, okay, 80 millimeters there, is the flanges themselves. But I'm keeping an eye on these types of measurements just to make sure that I'm not going off into La La Land and doing something really asymmetrical or whatever. In case you're wondering what that bilge pump sound you can hear every now and then is, it's this 24 volt bilge pump just spins and feels for resistance. That's how it knows when there's water in the bilge. Whereas this one is the 12 volt one and it has a field effect sensor on it. So they're both auto, but they work in different ways. So different methods of detecting water and different battery banks. So I think it kind of gives me nice redundancy. All right, let's straighten this one up again. All right, new challenge. Dropping this down, there's practically no weight on this corner. We've got all the exhaust manifold, everything over there. I don't know, the list of the boat as well. So I don't know whether I need to now just go up on deck and try and move everything over to port and get the boat leveled up. Maybe another reason to do this initially on the hard stand. If this was welded in place, I could use this nut to bring it down, yes. But it's not at the moment. All right, a little bit better now, but I think until we get that corner to drop, we're in trouble. So let's try even the boat up a bit. It's the easiest thing to start with. The boat is still under ballasted. I've got to put some more lead right along the keel. Maybe it won't be so sensitive then to shifts in weight, but that's a lot more level than it was before. So let's go see whether that corner's dropped or not. No is the answer. You know, turning, I mean, I can turn that. That's just got no weight on it at all still. Let's go push the opposite corner up a little bit, see if we can tip some weight back this way, that way. Does that make sense? This way, that way? Who knows? Let's see if we can use that technique to push some weight this way. You can hear the polyflex creaking against the steel. I maybe should have actually lubricated it first. It's made no difference here. There's still no weight on that corner. There. Just going to bring the front down a bit more.
To help with this corner, I decided to just clamp the shim down to the rail temporarily, and you know, then just grab a hammer and tap it square and all that sort of thing. I'm not sure exactly what did it in the end, but after I adjusted the other three corners, this started to come down nicely, so that problem sort of eventually got solved.
What does it look like from this side? Not too bad, actually. Looks like the front, looks like it's too high, which is good. Down's always good. I don't like the idea of it being too high up on the posts of the engine mounts. Alright, been wrestling for about an hour now, and it's kind of getting close. I'll show you. So this is where we're at now. Can't see any real gap. The height looks right. So I think we're getting pretty close. Now it's that close, I think I'm pretty safe to weld these shims in. You know, they're not the final position. I've still got fine adjustment on the mounts themselves with my jack screws. That's why I made the jack screws. But gotta say, I think it's close enough to lock off the coarse part of the adjustment now. This is what it looks like from above at the moment. Doesn't look too bad either. Pretty happy with that position now. It's certainly as close as I can get it with crowbars and whatever. So let's weld those shims in, then we can use the new jacking screws and the adjustable mount to do all the fine tuning with the dial gauges and feeler gauges, all that kind of stuff. Once I've got this welded in, what I can then do, even without exhaust and cooling water, is do what we did in the workshop, which is fire the Detroit up and spin the prop shaft and maybe free that cutlass bearing up a little bit. So, you know, we're sort of getting there. All right, let's weld these in first. I'm not going to weld them out fully, just in case. I think, you know, a couple of inches weld on each one is more than enough to hold it in place, but means that we can undo it if we need to. Well, thanks for watching. I've now got those shims tacked in place. Can't see any light any side of the polyflex coupler, so I think we're kind of in the ballpark. But we've got loads of fine adjustment left, particularly with the new jack screws and the adjustable mounts. So I think we're kind of home and hosed. I would like to get the coupler bolted in so we can fire it up, but I'll probably push on with the exhaust system, the cooling system and the wiring first. That way it's just a bit more complete for firing it up. Also going to get myself a kit with springs and seals and everything I need to get that emergency shut-off flap working and installed as well. So things to go, but we're getting things ticked off the list, and that's the most important thing. Alright, we'll take care and I'll catch you soon. See ya.
Daffy's doing the I Just Laid an Egg victory song, but I think the idea behind it, I'm no chicken expert, is just to try and find the others again, because she's sitting inside laying an egg for a while. She loses track of where the rest of the flock is, and I think the plan is just to reconnect with them. Anyway, we may as well go pinch her egg while she's not looking. Oh, there we go, there's Dottie. Even cleaned the house today. It's pretty impressive, hey? Excellent work, Daffy. We're all proud of you. Have some seed to celebrate. You guys can have some down there too. Anyway, let's go pinch your egg. Given you've already lost interest in it yourself. Oh, 3 eggs. That's how long since I've been out here. Bonus. Thank you.